This video is about equilibrium. So the keyword in the question is there's an abundance of nitrogen and oxygen and a few of nitrogen oxide. And what is true about the equilibrium constant Kc? The concept of this question is how to estimate equilibrium constant. So to simplify Kc, it is simply the concentration of products over the concentration of reactants. And so when the question gives us that tells us that there is exact amount of products to exact amount of reactants. So let's just put a number to this example so it's easier to visualize. So if there's 10 parts of product to 10 parts of reactants, our Kc would be 10 over 10, which equals to 1. So if the question tells us that there's equal amount of products and reactants, Kc will always equal to 1. But if the question tells us that there's more products than reactants, so 10 parts of products to 1 part of reactants, our Kc will be 10 over 1, which simplifies to 10. And vice versa, when there's less products than reactants, so 1 product to 10 parts reactants, our Kc would be 1 over 10, which equals 0. So in a scenario where the question doesn't give us the exact number, but it only tells us that there's more products or less products, we can use this value of 1 as an indicator because we know the exact value for when products is equal to reactants, which is Kc equal to 1. So when products is more, Kc will be greater than 1. So as you can see with this value here 10, but also because the bigger number is on top of the fraction, so it will always be greater than 1. And for this example, you can see it's a decimal value, and the greater number, which is reactants, will always be at the bottom. So it always gives us a fraction. So Kc will always be smaller than 1. And there are some scenarios they tell us that there are significantly more products than reactants or significantly less products than reactants. So that is when we write Kc will be much greater than 1, or Kc would be much lesser than 1. So going back to our question, the question tells us that there is an abundance of nitrogen and oxygen, which is our reactants, and a few of nitrogen oxide, which is our products. So we can simplify that by saying our products is much lesser than our reactants. So that means our Kc is much lesser than 1. So final answer is D.